to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Today we got another project. Kind of waiting on parts for the cat. Got working on that kind of to standstill. I am doing some work with the flathead motor. I'll kind of show you all that down the road. I got the motor tore apart, and even though it ran extremely great, it had a lot of signs of wear on the inside. And waiting on some hardware to come in so I can get back on the rat rod wagon. Waiting on some steering knuckles, turnbuckle thingies, and some all threaded pieces for that. But today we're going to start another project. We're going to work on the Super Bronc. I have a video where I got this thing. My daughter and I were out running around, and it popped up on Facebook Marketplace, and we went and snatched it up. And so I kind of did a video of it, but I'm going to go over it again. I've done a few things, but I'm going to basically tell you what the goal is. I want to try and get this thing up and running. Don't have the original engine on it, but it's got a new engine that the gentleman put on it. But it's basically got a set throttle. It's kind of like how you get a Predator. You got to loosen the little top, little whirly-majig so you can have your throttle play in it. That's kind of how this engine came factory, but there's no place to hook up a throttle cable per se. It's just got a manual throttle. I'll just show it to you in a minute. But anyway, let's take a look at the Bronc and kind of show you what a little bit I have done to it, and I'm going to show you what the game plan is for it. So let's take a look at it. Like I said, when I got this thing a while back, I did a little walk around video of it. The gentleman I got it from said the engine was no good, and he bought this. I do believe it's an 8-horse. Fan shrouds over there, but I think it's an 8-horse. It does have electric start flywheel, so I was hoping it had a charge coil behind it, which this model engine does not have a charge coil. But the carburetor was nasty. He got it running and couldn't hook up a throttle cable to it. His throttle assembly was basically this wire right here, hooked to the governor. So my game plan is I'm gonna at least get it up and running. I did spray brake cleaner in it when we got it, just to hear it to pop off and run, which it ran really good. But the game plan is it needs new shoes, for sure. This one's gone. As you can see, the back one is I mean, it's not really bad except for the big flat spot on the bottom. But anyway, we did track some new tires down. Going back with this 850 by 8 was what's on the front already. And can't remember what's on the back up here. This is a Carlisle. Let's see, it's down here at the very bottom. It's a 12, no, I'm sorry, I'm upside down. It's a 2112 by 8. And I'm going back, the only thing I can find close, or the wife found this for me somewhere, is a 2211 by 8. So it'll be close. Big old tire though. It's like the ones you see on the old Honda 110 3-wheelers. Big old tire. But you know, it'll be close. But the game plan for this is to get it back up and running, trying to figure out how I can hook up a throttle to it. And I don't think we're gonna do anything fancy to this bike. First thing I'll do is get it up running. The tires do hold air, but not very long. So we're gonna get it up running and riding, make sure the converter and everything jives, which I kind of looked it over. It all seems to be in pretty good shape. I don't even know if I'm gonna stick a belt on it. The belt actually still looked good. But everything looks functional. I did take the bolt off and check the springs and all that just to be on the safe side. All that did look good. You know, small things like the brakes work, but there needs to be a return spring on the brake. So we're gonna get it up, running, and riding. Then I think we're just gonna do like a part 1 and part 2, getting it up and running, and then we're just gonna do a patina. I did an old roper the same way. I just got the bike up and running, stripped it apart, you know, just did the maintenance safeable things on it, make sure the brakes work. I put a new chain on it, I put new tires on it, and didn't do anything fancy. So I think that's what I'm gonna do with this bike. I can always go down the road later, rip it back apart, you know, if I wanted to paint it, re-chrome fenders, etc. So I think that's my game plan, but I do have to research on the motor. Let's look at the fan shroud. This motor is a, let me get this up here. Oh, knocked the tank in the floor. It is an 8-horse, but see, it has a fixed throttle. So if you had this like on a snow blower or something like that, you would either have it, you know, it's slow or fast. And I did take the assembly off. This one actually bolts on. Just lay this back down there. And this is the assembly thing. So I'm either gonna try and make this work since it came on the engine, and maybe take the guts out because it's stationary and it's riveted. You can see that it's riveted from the factory. So wherever you put this is wherever it stays. And you can't, like on a Predator or any other motor like a Tiller, you can't just loosen a 10mm nut and your throttle work. And plus there's really no place to hook a cable. And I did dig through my stash pile of stuff from Tecumseh's, and I did find a assembly like this, but the majority of these assemblies, which is, look at this, is pretty. This is the same one I used on another bike the other day. But this is the assembly that you'd see like on an HS35, HS50, or a 40, that style. So you hook your cable up, comes down here to the little eyelet, and in the kit, and this one has your return spring and all that good stuff. So I do have this assembly, which mounts kind of in a different area, but I got to get this figured out. I have already pulled the carburetor off, got a new gasket for it. I have pulled the carburetor off, put a kit in it. The air filter was already clean. I held it up to the light and it was very clean, so he said it was new. So I got that to do. I got the tank pulled off, got it cleaned out, and put a new fuel line on it and a fuel valve. But this is an old cast iron motor. Let's see if we can flip this around and zoom in on it. I'm pretty decent with Briggs motors on far knowing the year, but this one is a HM80. There's the model and serial number, and I'm not very good with the Tecumseh's. I used to remember what numbers told me the year and all that, but yeah, I've kind of just forgot. But it is an 80, so it's a big old motor, 8 horsepower. So anyway, that's the game plan for today. Is we're going to get this carburetor, gas tank put on, and I'm going to get it running and try and figure out some way we can rig up a throttle. So I'm going to turn the fans on, get me a cold drink, get hydrated, and see if we can get her up and running today. All right, what I went ahead and decided to do is go ahead and put everything factory back like it was. So I went ahead and put the control plate, that's what I call it, it's a control plate for the throttle mechanism. Got the carburetor on it. I didn't bother with bolting the air cleaner and all that good stuff on it because I wanted to be able to see how the throttle works, because it's been a while since I took it apart. But you gotta get in back here, get my finger where nothing zooms. You got your throttle that runs to the carburetor, which runs back there to the governor. Then you have another top arm that is right up here at the top that runs your control mechanism. So whenever you kick this up, that holds it at high RPM, and then you can idle it down. So I figured I'd get it back together, get the carburetor tuned, and then figure out how I'm going to adapt a throttle to it. I'm thinking what I'm going to do is just take this assembly back off after I got it tuned and try and figure out a way to adapt a throttle just to that. So it kind of looks somewhat, I guess, factory. But anyway, I got a new fuel line on it. See if we can get down here. I did put a fuel valve, fuel filter, you know, new fuel line, which runs on these, it runs back behind, on the bottom side of the jug behind some tins. There's a little place where it runs out and it pops out the back. And I think I do remember putting it on, but I did fix exhaust. This thing had a goofy, I think it just had a piece of straight pipe, so Johnny cashed me an exhaust pipe on there just so it wouldn't be horrendously loud. And I did come over here and take the torque converter off. And this is another reason why I like to go through old stuff, you know, before I get on it and ride it. As you can see, that top bolt right here, there's no bolt there, but there is a dirt dauber nest. And I got to looking and wiggling on this. The bottom bolts don't look like they're tight. So good thing I took that off, but just so it's not going anywhere. It ain't going too far to the flat tire, but I want to take all the converter stuff off because it definitely needs to be cleaned and serviced and whatnot. This bushing in the center here is definitely needs to be cleaned. But I can go through whenever I do all this. I'll show y'all a video on how to basically service your torque converter. This is actually a true Comet. Get that bolt out of the way. See it? Yeah, it says right there. It's actually a true Comet. And then when I got to looking at the belt, which we probably are going to put a belt on it, it'll zoom in. It's actually a Comet belt, 30 series. And there's the number, and made in the good old US of A. That's what I'm talking about. But it's probably not bad, but I did notice that the sides of it right here were trying to roll up, and it does look like it's aligned properly. So it might just be very old. This might be the original belt that came on it. Have no clue. But anyway, I got all that off, so we're gonna try and crank it up, see how it sounds, get the carburetor tuned, and then we're gonna figure out how we're gonna make a throttle job. So let's see how it runs and see if it'll fire up. I think I got the carburetor pretty close. Already got the gas on to let the bowl fill up. I don't have a kill wire, but in case something gets crazy, we're just gonna ground it to the frame. Let's give it a little choke. Put this about half, see how it sounds. Crank this tank over. Ooh, almost got on the first pull. Don't sound too bad. Muffler bolts are loose. There ain't no lock washers on those, and he put something on there for that. I noticed when I was rubbing it up, the top plate needs a bolt. It's missing a bolt back here. But carburetor's somewhat close. Let it run and get a little bit warmer. But anyway, at least I know that that's how the throttle mechanism does work. So now we can go from here and work on the throttle. So let me get onto that. Alrighty, we got it all tore apart. Found some cool things the way this thing is put together. But anyway, got it tore apart. Look, it used to be a candy red. See if we can zoom in on this. The sun's right in the way. This is stamped in it right here. Now, let me turn this. Hold on. How about that right there? There we go. Sun's hitting it. But it was 7061. And this is underneath the front of the plate of the seat bolts right here in this hinges so you can lift your seat up. But that's actually factory stamped in there. Looks pretty factory anyway. But anyway, we got it all ripped apart. Whoa! Tripping over it. Got the tires, like I said, we got some tires to put on it. I got all the cables off over here. I did make one for the throttle. I don't think I filmed it, but I got the throttle all jobbed up and whatnot for the throttle cable. And we have that. See if we can spin it around and kind of show you. Since I had it on the bike, it was kind of a pain to get to. Let's see, how about this? Yeah, that little silver piece right there on the end, right here. This is a little factory piece off of a regular Predator or a Tilly on the throttle linkage. So I just cut that off, trimmed off the factory stuff that was on the motor, tack welded it on there. So that way I can run my cable right through there, got a return spring, and it all jives pretty good. So, I went in and got the oil drain anyway. I was like, I got it good and hot. I took it for a little bit of a spin, which I was gonna film it for y'all, but the rear tire would only hold about 2 minutes worth of air. Then it would be completely flat. So, but I got the rest of it tore apart. So the game plan now is I found a few things. We definitely, lighting's crap. Definitely need to put a chain on it. We're gonna go through all the, hold please, I'm filming. I'm sorry, excuse me, where are we at? Oh, yes, we're gonna go through all the torque converter stuff. Definitely need to get a belt put on it. That belt seemed like it might have been slipping a little bit, but it's kind of hard to tell with the back tire going flat. And we got all the front end assembly off over here. And the brakes don't look too terribly bad. Need to clean all the gunk and grime out of it. I got to track down, there's some rubber boots, accordion boot things right here. Obviously you can see there's not much of them left, but there's like your shock cover boots. So I'm going to try and track some of those down. But luckily all the front spring suspension parts, they were really greased. Actually they're sloppy greasy, so they actually come out really good. So that was kind of a bonus. I didn't have to beat that to death. So we're going to clean all the chrome stuff up that's on it. You know, just give it a polish. I'm going to try and keep as much of the paint on the bike as possible. You know, some spots it's gone, but you know, whatever. But we're gonna get it, give it a good pressure washing. Lightly, maybe hit some of the rusted areas with a little Scotch-Brite pad. Throw a little clear coat on it. We're just gonna do a quick restro on it. See how clean I can get these old fenders. Then we got the bars off. They're pretty rusty, but if I had to restore this bike, I'm looking at a lot of time, a lot of money on chrome. We got bars to chrome, them big old fenders, their shocks, headlight bucket. So that's why I figured we'd just do a quick restoration on it. We can always, or a quick restore, I guess. And then we can always go back later and tear it back apart, you know, blast it, paint it, and all that good stuff. So I'm gonna get to cleaning, get some wheels cleaned up, get some new shoes on it. I need to check out the rear sprocket, see how all that looks. So now it's all clean time and install some new tires, get cables lubed up. So I get that done, we'll be back on it.